Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Year 12 media team. I can't tell you how excited I am to have you on board, and thank you for accepting the invitation, which was contractually obligated to you for you to do so. You didn't really have a huge amount of choice, but thank you anyway. And I just wanted to do a quick video because we don't have enough time really to talk. So I wanted to say hello, to welcome you to the team. If you are an experienced teacher and you know media inside out, welcome back. Your experience will be invaluable. But a special welcome to those of you who are new to the team. Welcome to what is probably the best subject in the world, certainly the most creative subject in the school, and almost certainly the best time you will have in your teaching career. So this is a video just for Year 12 teachers. I'll make another video for Year 13 teachers, but hopefully this will give you a bit of an insight into what you have signed up for in September. So here's an overview of the course. You are either going to be a Paper 1 teacher or a Paper 2 teacher, or an Exam 1 teacher or an Exam 2 teacher. So there are two exams. They are 2 hours each. It's a written paper. It's usually sat at the start of summer, but who knows when it's going to be sat in 2021. If you are responsible for Paper 1, you will know that already. Hopefully I've emailed you and told you about it. But the essence of Paper 1 is media messages. So how do various media products present their ideologies and their messages? And that is exemplified through the study of the UK news industry. So it's an in-depth study of news, national newspapers, a close focus on the Mail and the Guardian, but it's an appreciation of the news industry as a whole. And the second section is an appreciation of how media language and representation are used in magazines, advertising and marketing, and music videos. So it's quite a broad, as you can see, a broad subject which covers a lot of really interesting and topical forms. So if you are a Paper 2 teacher, you will be teaching the Evolving Media paper. An absolutely fascinating side of the media industry is how it has changed and how it is changing. One of the things you'll recognize about the lessons that you will be teaching in September is that they constantly need to be updated because Minecraft still sells games. The newspapers still get bought by media moguls. Radio stations lose listenership as well as gain it. So this is how media has evolved over time. And the focus of this is radio, specifically the Radio 1 Breakfast Show, video games, specifically Minecraft, and film. And film is the Jungle Book 2016 and the Jungle Book 1967. And it's how those medias have evolved over time. This asterisk here is because we don't need to watch the Jungle Book. It's just looking at it from an industrial perspective, from Disney's perspective. And the second half is where you do get to watch some TV, and you'll get to watch two long-form TV dramas. One is an American long-form TV drama, little known series that it's sort of quite niche. Not many of the kids know about it. They don't get excited about it. It's called Stranger Things. It's on this sort of indie little streaming site called Netflix. I'm sure you won't be interested in that. And the other one is The Killing, which is a Nordic noir, Norwegian stroke Denmark, Swedish stroke Denmark production, which was shown on BBC 4 in 2007. And the reason why I've chosen those particular texts is because it's essentially the same narrative. They're both about the disappearance of a child. And it's really interesting to see how different nationalities choose to express that particular narrative. And the final 30% is the NEA, the non-exam assessment. And that is, we generally just call it coursework. And that usually takes the form of either a music video or a print magazine. So we've had to make the decision this year because of COVID-19 to restrict the briefs so that all students do the print magazine. That's in year 13, so it shouldn't affect you guys. And we start the NEA, we start the coursework at the end or towards the end of year 12, so it's nothing necessarily to start thinking about yet, but the students certainly will start to think about it as soon as you show this slide, which incidentally is the first lesson that you'll be giving to students. And it's a real great opportunity for them to express their creativity. Some of the best times I've had teaching in this school have been watching some of the videos and marking some of the magazines that students have made. So it really is a great opportunity to express themselves in a uniquely creative way. So for the rest of this video, I'm just going to go through specifically what we are looking to do in September, what the students should have done, and what you might need to do to prepare yourself to teach. So I'm going to start with paper 1 to start off with. So if you're not a paper 1 teacher, you don't necessarily need to listen to this. You can skip forward to the paper 2 section, which will be more appropriate for you. But the first thing I need to mention is really that this is a fantastic course, but it is a big course. And what I recommend you do in the first instance is get your hand on this book here, which is the A-Level Media Studies Student Guide for Media Messages for Paper 1. Don't ask me why it's more expensive than the Paper 2 guide. Unfortunately, I think it's just got a little bit more in it. These are the only textbooks which have been approved by the exam board. And it's really worthwhile getting your hands on them because they are packed full of useful information. There's a few bits of information that aren't entirely accurate there, but it will certainly supplement your learning and your teaching and your pedagogic knowledge over the summer and thereafter. Okay, so this is the long-term plan, which I'm just going to go through now. This is how I'd like things to look in September. Obviously, no one knows what things are really going to be like in September, so this is likely to change. But this is plan A. I do have plan B and plan C, but I just thought I'd take you through plan A just so you know around about the sort of things that we'll be looking at. Okay, so the first thing is that there are some introductory lessons, one of which you've just seen a brief, you had a brief look at there. The other thing is I need to mention is that most of these lessons are all planned, so there's not a huge amount of planning to do. But there's an introduction which gets students to hopefully know each other and to circulate. And then we go into a series of 2-week lessons in which, whether you are a paper 1 person or a paper 2 person, it doesn't really matter at this stage, but essentially you will be teaching the students the key tenets of media studies, which are language, industry, audience, and representation. So you will only teach 2 of these, but it's really important that you as a practitioner has a really good understanding of all 4 of them, because they are the real underpinning of what media studies is all about. So that's why we start off with an introduction to what is media language, what is the industry, what are the industries behind the media, audience, and representation. Then we go on to, if you're a paper 1 person, we go straight into adverts. So we decided to shift things around slightly this year, only because we used to start with news, which is a huge, and it's an enormous topic and can be quite challenging for a lot of students. So we've shifted it to adverts and marketing, which is more appropriate for them, and they can certainly hang their hat on some of the things that we're talking about a little easier. So we start off with unseen adverts. We'll analyze some unseen adverts, and then we'll go through over a couple of weeks discussing how to analyze them effectively, how to write about them, and that will culminate in a short assessment on an unseen advert. And then there are some set texts for the adverts that we need to look at. There's 3 actually. One is for Old Spice, the men's fragrance. One is for Lucozade, the sports drink, and the other is for Shelter, the homeless charity. We're not going to look at Shelter in the first half term, but we will come back to that. So by the end of the first half term, they will have been assessed on an unseen advert and possibly one of the set texts as well. So by the half term holidays, the idea is that one section is completed. After the half-term holidays, we move on to news, and that's, as I said, that's a big section which we need to get our head around, and that's why we spent so long on it. And then at the end of November, we do a practical task for news, which is really a diagnostic task in order to assess whether the students have understood the codes and conventions of newspapers. That will be led by Cal Fraser, who's our wonderful media technician, and they'll give them the practical skills required, that will be required within their NEA later on in the year. So news and adverts should be completed by around Christmas time. Now, you can obviously go through this long-term plan at your leisure and see what else is after that, but I just thought I'd put you in the frame of mind, and you can have a look at those lessons and get yourself familiar with them before September. So talking about accessing lessons, all of our lessons are available online. This is the Media Studies SharePoint site. You need to go to Staff Resources, you need to go to Lesson Resource folder, and then you need to go to the appropriate part for the thing that you'll be teaching. So in the first instance, you'll be looking at the intro lessons, which are up at the top here. So you can go ahead and have a look at that. But they're all in sections here, and there's the advertising section there for paper 1 if you'd like to have a look at some of those lessons. Okay, back to the long-term plan for the paper 2 teachers, for the Evolving Media paper. We're going to start in a very similar form, so the introductory lessons where students get to know each other. They'll set up their blogs as well, which will become absolutely crucial for understanding how students are getting on with their independent learning. All students have blogs, and we do check the blogs frequently to see if they're keeping up with their independent learning. It's actually proven valuable during lockdown because most of their work is being put on there, and it's been very useful for us. Then we go into the other side of the key tenets of media theory. So if your partner teacher has done language and audience, you will do industry and representation. Then we move straight into the theoretical awareness of industry, specifically with Minecraft. So the first focus will be on video games, the video game industry, and the product we'll be looking at is Minecraft. Now, this should engage students, even if they've never played Minecraft before. We do encourage them to download it and to play it themselves in their own time. We will not be playing it in lessons, but we don't need to. It's not an exam about the gameplay, it's an exam about the industry behind the video game. So we spend a number of weeks on Minecraft, and that will culminate in an assessment at the end of the half term. After half term, we go into the Jungle Book, and this is, if you remember from the introduction, the Jungle Book 1967, which was the last film that Walt Disney worked on, and compare that to the 2016 live-action version, which was directed by Jon Favreau. So that will take a few weeks as well. Hopefully students will be more familiar with the course content and the style of lessons, so we'll spend slightly less on that, and then we will do a short assessment for Jungle Book. In the lead up to Christmas, we'll go into Radio 1. Now Radio 1 again is talking about industry and audiences. So who are the audiences for Radio 1? How do they maintain them, and how do they target them? We will learn about the industry behind the radio station, the BBC, as a public service broadcaster, and then there'll be a short assessment there, which will take it up to the Christmas holidays. So I should also mention that students should have completed a introductory transitionary task, which they were sent via email during lockdown, and it gives them lots of different tasks to complete in order to get them up to speed with some of the terminology and some of the activities that we'll be doing. So hopefully they will have completed that and they won't come in completely fresh. For you to be doing over the summer, have a look on the SharePoint, get yourself a copy of the textbook, and have a look at the long-term plan, and give me an email if there are any questions. All the best, guys. Thanks a lot.